These long ground pieces are really journey works. You know, it's about stepping, it's about walking and following a pathway to have a look at what's going on. And that's a very interesting, very simple idea. A very simple thought, just to follow the track and watch the play of light on the surface, in the leaves, in the intermittency. That's pleasure. Just simple, very simple. Many years ago I went for a walk with my mother down to the old point. It was a fair hike. On the way back I found H12, and H12 is the name of this work, and it is a talisman for that long walk that I took with my mother. And all talismans should end with a kind of surprise, I suppose. And this is the surprise. It's a long work. This is the mother space, another of these groundworks that inhabit my sculpture park. Really not a lot to say, but just a lot to look at, I think. It's a quite complex construction, to say the least. And this is the kind of discontinuity in the middle of the work before it goes on. The mother space. I'm really enjoying the shadows on these works, given this very intense summer light. It's very hard, and so the shadows are very clear, quite extraordinary really. You can see there, it's difficult for me to tell, but sometimes in those shadows you get the moire effects. I can't quite see it here, but oh yeah, there you go. There, when you get a wider area, you start to see those moire patterns. Fantastic. Yeah, so there you go. This is the work that I'm temporarily named The Uncertain Monster, because I'm really not sure about it yet, but just gonna give it a photograph because I think that's such an interesting process in itself. This is quite a large work, and moving into now what I call the discontinuity phase. This is where, you know, when you have something that's so consistent, you suddenly need to, or I need to, sort of break that pattern. And gee, I gave that a bit of a shake then. Better keep the camera steady, boy. Yeah, so as I said, it's a very uncertain work at the moment, but nevertheless. And while we're talking about uncertain monsters, I think this is another one. But looking at it now, the whole thing with the camera is it just gives you another kind of way of seeing things. You know, I find my work, particularly this work, has just been this ongoing year on year challenge to try and find a way that really makes it work for me, to make it really beautiful or to make it really ugly, to make it all those things, and meaning. But you know, this is a big conversation, and perhaps we might look to the next work for that. I think when I'm talking about meaning, I'm actually really talking about some very, or for me, what would be a really profound relationship between the material and thought. So somehow thought and material are actually one thing. It's interesting here, I've got a collection of these brass nuts and bolts and stuff, and I was so thrilled at the time when I found all this, and I thought, well, how can I use it? And anyway, I used it like this, and then for years it's like, oh, I could have done this with them, or I could have done that with them, and you know, and if anything underlines a sort of anxiety and uncertainty, it's my relationship to these brass bolts. I suppose my theory, well, sort of a theory, is that, you know, if you can combine the material and thought into this deep unity, that somehow you reach into the personal, and the deeply personal becomes the universal. I suppose that's it, really. Now, I don't know whether that makes any sense. I try not to have ideas. I'm very interested in thought. Ideas are the results. That's what you come up with. These are the ideas. I never had ideas about them, about making them. If I knew what I was going to do, I'd probably give it up. Frankly, when I first started to make this stuff, one of the reasons I did it was because wire was really clean, and I lived in flats, and so you didn't want wood chips or clay or. But yeah, wire was like something that, you know, this particular wire came in a pack. It was very clean. There was you used all of it. And the tools were really simple, you know. I mean, all this work is done basically with a pair of pliers. A bit of dowel stick. Occasionally, very rarely, towards the end, I'd use a drill to twist the wire. But that's it. I was born in Red Earth country, and for many years I lived in Red Earth country, and that sense of the iron in the earth is a kind of powerful motivating force for me for some reason. And you know, I lived near a coal mine at one stage, and it made me think about how the miners would shore up as they went, and how that made iron, and somehow it was all linked up, and I lived near farms, and I'd go and there'd be some iron wire contraption that was keeping the gate shut, or making a hole in the fence, secure some solution to some pressing problem.